F1 2013 career mode is back, so without further ado, let's see the team that we're driving for this season. So here we are then back in the career mode hub, and it's been a very long time since I've been here, but this is going to be a new series that we'll be running alongside my F1 2014 career mode and alongside my F1 2010 career mode. So I actually did this race a few months ago, so I can't really remember exactly what happened, but we're just reading through the emails that we're getting before this first round in Australia. So we're not going to muck around here, we're just going to get straight into it. Here we're in practice 3 in Albert Park in Australia, and in this video I will feature the highlights from practice and qualifying, because if I'll include the race as well, it will probably be a bit too long, and I don't want that. So just to make it a little bit more exciting for you guys to watch, we'll just do the race in a separate video, like I also do with my F1 2014 career mode. So here we are in the garage for this practice 3 session. I believe we've got some R&D testing to do this session, and here we can see the R&D test. I can't read it because my edit screen is too small, but yeah, we need to complete something within 3 laps, and that will probably improve some parts on the car. So as you can see, we've done that now, currently in our 4th lap in practice, and we've completed the R&D objective as we come very close to Sergio Perez there, so that was a bit dangerous trying to pick up some slipstream, but currently we're top in the session. Yeah, I really like this Albert Park circuit. It really suits my driving style very well, and I can always get in a very nice flow on this circuit, and I'm also pretty strong here, usually against the AIs. Talking about strong, we're going purple up until this stage in sector 1, so yeah, it's looking pretty good so far, but it's only early on in the practice session, and I'm certain that towards the end, when the AI cars start to put on their option tires, it will be a little bit more difficult, but currently topping the session still. But it's only practice. We come very close to Lewis Hamilton. That was actually pretty interesting. Let's look at the replay here, because that actually looked pretty dangerous. Hamilton just pulled out to the right just at the last second, so that was yeah, very close indeed, as you can see from the far chase camera here. But yeah, just carrying on with this practice session is not really representative to the rest of the weekend, because in qualifying the AI usually step up their pace. So yeah, I only did 6 laps in practice on the prime tires, and that was actually good enough to be top of the table, and that is very strange, because usually I do something like 20 laps in practice, or maybe even more, and usually I go out for 2 stints, 1 prime stint and 1 option stint, but this time I didn't even go out on the option tires, so that just shows how confident I was going into qualifying. So here we are now in qualifying 1, currently going out of the pit lane to start our first lap. So yeah, I felt really comfortable just in the car on the circuit, and I had a really good rhythm in practice, and I didn't even need to practice really. I only did 6 laps, as I said before, and only on the prime tires. And here in qualifying 1, I'm going out on the prime tires as well, because I'm just confident that I'll make it into Q2 on a set of prime. So now braking down for turn 1, back down into 3rd gear, now up through the gears again as we come through turn 2, opening the DRS now for this back straight, using a little bit of curves as well, as we now got a little bit later to the end of the lap. Let's see if it will be good enough to get into Q2. We currently go 3rd, but a lot of cars are yet to set a lap time, so it's not really representative to the rest of the field, as we pass John-Rick Verne there, and actually going purple in the first sector. So if we would be able to top the Q1 session as well, then that would be very nice indeed. So now braking down for turn 8, back down into 2nd gear, now on the power again for this turn 9 left hand, as you now come on to the quick left right chicane, going down into 5th gear, going purple as well in the 2nd sector. So I went really well through the chicane turn 11 and 12 there, so we've made up some time over the AI, I believe, as we now come through turn 13 on the track, back down into 3rd gear, as we now skip to the final corner of the circuit, opening the DRS, using the curves and putting the engine up into rich mix, as we now come over the line, and we set a 1 minute 25 point something, I think, and that puts us first in the session so far. And yeah, we're now just trying to bring the car back into the pits as we're waiting for the final results to be put on screen. So yeah, just driving it back into the pits, and that is this Q1 session done and dusted. So as you can see, at the end of the session, we didn't manage to top it, unfortunately, but we managed to get through into Q2 very comfortably. So here we are now in Q2, coming up to the line to end our very first lap of the session, as we're now putting the engine up into rich mix. Let's see what it is. We currently go first, but we are, I think, the first one to cross the line, so that's not really representative. As you can see, as we now skip to our second lap, we've already dropped into P2. So I'm just pushing on in this second lap because I think there's a little bit more pace to find as we go purple in the first sector again. And if you look at the top left, we are just tumbling down the positions, currently in 6th position now, as everyone sets a fastest lap. Now coming through turn 8, back down into second gear, now using a little bit of curse on the exit as we come up to the quick left right chicane, turn 11 and 12, back down into 5th gear, a slight lift before the corner, and then up into 6th gear and 7th gear again, as we use a little bit of curse going green in the second sector intermediate, as we now brake for turn 13, back down into second gear briefly now on the exit, going wide out over the curbs as we now got to the end of the lap. Let's see if it will be good enough to improve. We go third, and that should be enough to get us into Q3. So we just back out of the lap now as we wait for the session to be over. And actually it wasn't good enough because we are now in 11th position. As you can see, I returned back into the pits and now I'm going out again as we get blocked there by Kimi Räikkönen. Doesn't really matter because it was on my out lap. So we're going to start a new lap now because we are currently in the drop zone. So if it stays like this, we won't be able to get into the final shoot at Q3 session. So here we go, putting the engine up into rich mix, now braking down for turn 1, back down into 3rd gear, clipping the apex of the corner, now going up through the gears again as you open the DRS for this back straight, shifting up into 7th gear, now braking under the shadows for turn 3, back down into 1st gear briefly, now up to 2nd to get better traction out of the corner. The car was a little bit unstable there, but it didn't hurt us too much as we now come through turn 5 flat out in 5th gear, now up into 6th as we come through the first sector. We go green, so that is good. Hopefully it will be good enough to get into the top 10, really pushing it to the absolute limit there on the exit of turn 6 as we now come through turn 8, back down into 2nd gear. Don't brake too hard because it's very easy to lock up. Now getting on the power again on the exit of turn 8, using a little bit of curse as we now come up to the quick left right chicane, turn 11 and 12, and we come through the second sector and we go purple as we really fly through this chicane very quickly. So it's looking very likely that we'll be getting through to Q3, but we're going purple. So can we top this Q2 session now, coming through turn 13, pretty perfect there. Now turn 15, really a slight lift before the corner, but we go through there very well. Now the penultimate corner, back then into 1st gear, trying to get as much traction as possible out of this last corner. It's very easy to wheel spin there as we now power it out of the final corner, opening the DRS and the curse as you come up to the line, and it is good enough for 1st place. So we topped the session here in Q2, and that was a really good lap, and I was really happy with that as we completely cut the corner there into turn 1. So we have to back out of it, but yeah, that was a very good lap, and we are through to Q3 then, and so here we are now in Q3, coming out of the pit lane, and yeah, that lap in Q2, it was really good. I was so concentrated, and when you then coming over the line, you really feel a huge relief. So you even saw me weaving the wheel out of pure relief, really. So here we are now in Q3. Hopefully we can do the same and maybe even get pole position. So here we go now, we're gonna start our very first lap of the session here, putting the engine up into rich mix as we're now braking down for turn 1 again, back down into 3rd gear, and we carry a little bit too much speed into there and we actually overshoot the corner, so we have to back out of this lap. So here we go again now on our second take. So here we go, this needs to be the lap, coming down into turn 1, shifting down into 3rd gear, now up through the gears again. That was a great first corner, opening the DRS, now using a little bit of curse on the exit as we now come up to turn 3, a very tricky braking point now, braking hard, going down into 1st gear briefly, now up into 2nd again, a little bit of opposite lock there on the exit, but it doesn't hurt us too much. Now going through turn 5, flat out in 5th gear, now up to 6th, and then coming through the first sector. We go purple, so we are the fastest one out on track now in the first sector, so that is very nice. Now going through this long turn 7 corner, now turn 8, braking just after the 100 meters walk back down into second gear. We missed the apex there slightly, so that maybe is gonna cost us about half a tenth or two as we now go up through the gears again, up into 7th gear as we now come up to the quick left right chicane. We're going purple again, now really flying through this chicane, missing the ball at by just a few centimeters there as we now come up to turn 13, a very crucial corner. This final sector is very important for your lap time, really going out very wide there over the curbs. Now turn 15, a slight lift before the corner. We really went through that very well. Now the penultimate corner back then into first gear, now powering it out of the corner. It's very hard to put the power down in this final corner as we now open the curves and the DRS for the run to the line. Will it be good enough for pole position? Yes it is. So we've got pole position for the Australian Grand Prix, and that was a very good lap as we now get completely blocked by Nico Rosberg now in our second lap, so we have to back out of it just like in Q2. But that was a really good lap and I was really happy with it. And you know, it's just, we've taken pole position here for this first round, and it's, when you're doing a qualifying lap, you're just so concentrated and your heart rate's going like crazy, and then you come over the line and you see it's good enough and you feel just a huge relief, like I said before. But yeah, that's been it for this qualifying session. Our objective was to finish 8th or above, so that is passed for this first round of the season. So the race will be in the next video, which I will upload as soon as possible. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.